Welcome. In this module, we talk about shadow IT and shadow AI, hidden risks in everyday workflows. Most cyber risk does not originate from malicious intent, it originates from convenience. Modern professionals are expected to move quickly, collaborate seamlessly, and deliver results under constant time pressure. When official tools feel slow, restrictive, or poorly suited to the task at hand, people adapt. They find alternatives. This adaptation is not rebellion, it is problem solving. But when those alternatives operate outside formal visibility and governance, they create a class of risk known as shadow IT and increasingly shadow AI. This section explores how these hidden technologies emerge, why they are so widespread, and why they represent one of the most underestimated sources of cyber risk in modern organizations. What shadow IT really is. Shadow IT refers to software, tools, services, or systems used within an organization without formal approval, oversight, or integration into security controls. This can include file sharing platforms, collaboration tools, browser extensions, personal cloud storage, messaging apps, and automation tools. These technologies are often adopted by well intentioned employees seeking efficiency and not subversion. From the user's perspective, they solve a problem. From the organization's perspective, they introduce uncertainty. Why shadow IT exists? Shadow IT does not exist because people ignore policy. It exists because policy often lags reality. Workflows evolve faster than governance. New tools appear faster than approvals processes. Teams adopt what works now, not what may be approved later. Several forces drive this behavior: pressure to deliver quickly, friction in official tools, lack of awareness of risk, and perceived low impact of individual decisions. Individually, each choice feels small. Collectively, they create significant exposure. The invisibility problem. The defining characteristics of shadow IT is not risk, it is invisibility. Security teams cannot protect what they cannot see. Tools outside approved environments are not monitored, logged, or governed. Data may flow through them without any record. The invisibility undermines incident detection, forensic investigation, compliance reporting, and data protection obligations. When something goes wrong, organizations may not even know where to look. Data leakage as a side effect of convenience. Shadow IT often handles real sensitive data. Documents are uploaded to personal storage. Customer data is shared via messaging apps. Credentials are stored in unapproved password tools. Files are synced across devices outside organizational control. None of this feels dramatic at the time, but each action creates a new copy of data in an environment that may lack encryption, access controls, retention policies, or audit trails. Over time, data sprawl becomes data exposure. Shadow AI, the new acceleration of risk. Generative AI has introduced a new dimension to shadow IT. Employees now use AI tools to summarize documents, draft emails, analyze data, generate code, and brainstorm ideas. These tools are powerful, accessible, and often free. They are also frequently used without understanding how data is processed, stored, or reused. This is shadow AI. A common example looks like this. An employee copies an internal report into a public AI tool to quickly summarize it before a meeting. The intent is efficiency, not disclosure. But that document now exists outside organizational controls in an environment with unknown retention, unknown access, and unknown downstream use. No breach alert triggers, no system fails, and yet governance has already broken quietly. Why shadow AI is particularly dangerous? Shadow AI combines all the risks of shadow IT. with new forms of data exposure. When information is entered into generative AI tools, users may share confidential data, expose intellectual property, submit regulated information, and create derivative outputs that persist. Depending on the service, data may be retained for training, stored in external environments, and accessible to third parties. What feels like a private interaction may be anything but. The misalignment between intent and outcome. Most users of shadow AI are not trying to leak data, they're trying to work more effectively. This misalignment is what makes shadow AI so difficult to control. Traditional security assumes malicious intent or technical misuse. Shadow AI is driven by productivity, which makes blanket prohibitions both unrealistic and counterproductive. Risk emerges not from intent, but from context. Why banning tools rarely works? Organizations often respond to shadow IT and shadow AI by attempting to ban unapproved tools. This approach rarely succeeds. People still need to work. When restrictions increase without alternatives, behavior simply becomes more hidden. Visibility decreases further. Effective risk management requires understanding why people adopt these tools and addressing those underlying needs. Shadow IT as a governance challenge. Shadow IT is often framed as a technical problem. In reality, it is a governance problem. It reflects gaps between policy and practice, control and usability, and security and productivity. Closing these gaps requires collaboration between security teams, leadership, and users. Technology alone cannot solve it. Designing for real workflows. Organizations that manage shadow IT effectively do not start with enforcement. They start with design. They provide secure, usable alternatives, set clear guidelines for acceptable use, educate users about data sensitivity, build visibility without blame, and the goal is not to eliminate informal tools entirely. It is to reduce unmanaged risk. Why shadow AI will only grow? AI tools are becoming embedded in everyday workflows. They are integrated into browsers, applications, and operating systems. Shadow AI is not a temporary phenomenon, it is a structural shift. Organizations that ignore it will face increasing data exposure, compliance risk, and loss of control, often without realizing it. Understanding shadow AI now is a prerequisite for governing AI responsibly later. Why this matters for cyber risk? Many incidents attributed to advanced threats are rooted in basic visibility failures. Data was somewhere should not have been. Tools were in use that no one tracked. Logs did not exist. Controls were bypassed, not maliciously, but casually. Shadow IT and shadow AI turn everyday behavior into systemic risk. Recognizing this allows organizations to respond intelligently rather than reactively. Key takeaway: shadow IT and shadow AI are not fringe behaviors, they are natural responses to modern work demands. The risk they create comes from invisibility, not intent. Managing this risk requires understanding how people actually work, not how policies assume they work. In the AI age, governing what people use is less important than governing how data flows and where responsibility truly lies.